distinguished invited guests, gentlemen and women of the academia, captains of industries, friends and well-wishers joining us online and those live across the country. Let me especially at this very moment welcome you to a thank you and farewell valedictory session organized for the outgoing Vice Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, Double Professor Abdalla Adamu, today by the School of Postgraduate Studies of the National Open University of Nigeria. In a very brief moment from now, we shall commence with the business of the day, but permit me to very expressly recognize some very crucial members who are joining us live here and those online. It is with great sense of honor this very moment that I recognize members of the Council of the National Open University of Nigeria, ably led by that distinguished Professor of Science and Computer Education, Peter Oke Bukola, OFR. Of course, with his members all joining us live online, including Professor Uduma Oji Uduma, who is right there at Saple, linking us up. It is with all pleasure that we are also happy to be joined by the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of administration, live online, Professor Justus Shekofun. Also, Professor Engineer Abariku is also online. Honorable Silvanus Igbobo is also online. In the council list, we are privileged to have Oluwabumi Olapade Olaopa joining us online. Alaji Garbasani all the way in abroad joining us live online. Alaji Bello Alkali is also joining us online. Dr. Suleiman Babatunde Yusuf Ramon, representative of the NUC, is also joining us online. Professor Gregory Okabari is also live at Sapele, joining us online this morning. Professor Grace Jokton, Professor Mercy Ogunshola Bandeli is also joining us online. We are privileged also to have live here joining us as a member of council, Alaji Isa Shehu, Mrs. Margaret Mirari, and of course, the registrar of the National Open University of Nigeria, Felix Edoka. Also online is Dr. Ernest Odega de Bossa, Dr. Adam Gambosali, architect Abubakar Alfa, and that's the director of fiscal planning of the National Open University of Nigeria. Barrister Ricky, head of the legal services, is also online joining us. And also Malam Marafa, head of procurement. But very expressly this very moment, it is with all great sense of pleasure that we have the Vice Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria himself, and live in this auditorium. He is the Nze Okaome I of Enugu, the Oruakbo of Emevo in Delta State, the Alfaharin Kanu in Kanu, and most recently, and that's over the weekend, he was crowned as the Abaji Musa of Asago Uku of Ohafia local government area in Abia State. It's my pleasure to welcome a Professor of Science Education and Professor of Media and Cultural Communication, Professor Abdalla Adamu. You're most welcome. Also live in this auditorium to witness this valedictory session is the incoming Vice Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Femi Peters. Sir, you're most welcome. It will add no value, but let me say it here that it is with all sense of honor that he is here also live with us, a principal officer and member of council, the librarian of the National Open University of Nigeria, in person of Dr. Sali Adam Gambo. You're most welcome. Also live is Alaji Isa Shehu, a member of council and the director of transport and logistics, also head of security services. Sir, you're most welcome. Deans and directors, academic directors, center directors, all joining us live online. Friends of the Vice Chancellor, and of course, friends of the School of Postgraduate Studies, students of that department, staff of that department, and members of the NOUN community are all welcome. Without wasting too much time, it's about time we commence with the business of today here. And as it requires, may I at this very moment ask that we all rise, including those joining us virtually for the NOUN anthem. May we all be seated, please. Once again, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special valedictory session organized for the outgoing Vice Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria, courtesy of the School of Postgraduate Studies, and of course, ably championed by Professor Smaila Mande. Before we dive deep into the program this morning, permit me, with your kind permission, my council chair, other members of the council joining us live, to very expressly recognize the presence of Professor Godwin Sogolu, who is live joining us online, Dr. Alero Okojobi, Professor Moniolowa Olaniyi, Dr. Oluwayemisi Ogulela, Professor Isaac Bosworth, Dr. Gloria Eneto, among others, joining us online. May I at this very moment, without any further delay, invite the Dean, School of Postgraduate Studies, Professor Smaila Mande, to let us know the reason why this valedictory session in the first place was organized. Sir, you're welcome.
In the name of God, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Distinguished members of this gathering, let me in a way recognize the presence and indeed the involvement of the Chairman of Council of the National Open University of Nigeria. This is indeed something very, very rare. Some institutions and some organizations do hold valedictory, but for this one, I'm indeed humbled, not for anything, for the whole Chairman of Council and for the Council of the University to deem this very activity as an activity that they will have to endorse. There is nothing I can say. It's rather for us to say that in the statement. According to the Yorubas, they say Oluwadara. According to the Hausa, we say Allah the Kel. And then, of course, to the Igbos, we say Chineke Dimba. Today is a great day, and so for that, how great is it? Because when I was appointed 5 years ago, then I was Dr. Mande Samaila as an associate professor. I was appointed as acting dean. I met the vice chancellor, and he told me that he's ever ready to support me for all that I need to do. Today, the history of all the activities that I did is what I needed to showcase, not only to the environment, but to the whole world. But to start it, the showcasing of all these activities is something that is clear. We have a documentary publication as a compendium which we are to present to the Vice Chancellor, which is a record of all the activities, day by day, documented evidence from the beginning to the end. I was not only appointed as the Dean of PG School alone. All of you across the whole country are fully aware when after a week of my appointment as the acting Dean of PG School, another letter from the Vice Chancellor, which I could recall, the registrar, Mr. Felix Edoka, went to Lagos and read the letter to the center directors meeting. And what was that appointment? The appointment was the coordinator for facilitation and project defense moderation. Aside from that one, I was equally appointed as the facilitator for course material development. Distinguished participants for this gathering, I need to let you understand we swung into action. And that was the more reason why part of the things we did immediately we took over was to ensure that any program that do not have the legitimacy that will be respected for, we immediately suspended it. And that was done. So many Nigerians were affected left and right. But because of the New Dawn movement, that is basically about re-engineering, repositioning, and indeed positioning the university in such a way that yes, in terms of acceptability nationally and internationally, that was the welcome development. That wasn't the only thing. Those students that were in programs that do not have legitimacy, a directive was given to me to tell them that they should write for the refund of their money. That was done successfully. Distinguished participant, mine is just to give you a preamble of the basis for this event today. He'll be leaving on the 11th, and we needed to document all our activities. And as time goes on, you're going to have a documentary of all the activities and the summation of some of the things that we've done for the posterity to judge for our own involvement while he was here as the Vice Chancellor of National Open University. On this, I want to thank you for everything, and may God bless us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Samaila Mande, for opening that gateway into us knowing why we're all gathered for this valedictory session. Like he has already championed, now it's time for us to bring before your notice the activities so far under the leadership of the outgoing Vice Chancellor, Professor Abdalla Adamu, in the School of Postgraduate Studies. And not just only in the School of Postgraduate Studies, but in the Office of the Coordinator, Facilitation, Student Projects Matters, and of course, Course Material Development. Without any further delay, may I invite the technical crew here to let us have the documentary going now.
The administration of the Vice Chancellor, Professor Abdalla Adamu, for the past 5 years has had a lot of feathers adorned to its cap. Both academically and administratively, his vision for the National Open University of Nigeria within the past 5 years has been actualized. The School of Postgraduate Studies under the tutelage of Professor Samaila Mande is one of the success stories in the books of the Abdalla administration. Under the School of Postgraduate Studies is the Office of the Coordinator, Facilitation, Project Supervision, Moderation, Defense, Examination Moderation, and Course Materials Development. These offices have in no small measure lived up to expectations and excelled in its area of expertise. First was the stoppage of admission and suspension of academic programs without valid approval.
All the programs under Abdalla Adamu, because of his own penchant for quality and reputation, all the programs we run are programs that are at that level. So we have all the programs, we have them. Majority of our program have 90% are full accreditation. I mean, 95%, 98% are full accreditation. The other 2% are programs that have just started and that now have interim accreditation. But we do not run a program that do not have legitimacy. And what we now did when he came in, because we are also having issues of challenge of PG program. So all those programs, we ensure that they also have their legitimacy and approval. And I need to let you understand part of the program that we did, because these are now academic programs and all that. And that was at the PG level, we're able to graduate our first PhD candidate in Christian theology. And that's in the name of Olusegun Obasi. So we did that effectively. So that we did effectively at that level, and he did that, and it was something that was not nationally and indeed globally, which we did. And of course, other PhD students that are also in the line to also pass through the system. That
I am more NUC than NUC, because I was one of those who studied NUC carefully right from the beginning. I'm a historian of National Universities Commission. I even wrote a book about it, published in New York. And the whole idea behind me understanding NUC and what it does is to make sure that I streamline whatever NUC is doing with what we are supposed to be doing.
Next on its line of activities was the regularization of postgraduate admission. Following the University Senate's observation that postgraduate applicants get admitted without presenting academic transcript, the School of Postgraduate Studies came up with the idea on how to incorporate transcripts into the university's online admission procedures. The recommendations were adopted by the board, approved by the Vice-Chancellor, and implementation was undertaken technically by the Directorate of Management Information System, MIS.
We digitize the process. So now students from wherever, the idea of going to the center, paying left and right and all that, and not getting the transcript, that is no longer tenable. So we now automated the process. And when we did that, so students from wherever they are, they now apply for their transcript, and then we now harvest it here.
Management also approved the automation of postgraduate transcript application and processing procedure since 2017. These has led to improved internal revenue generation and proper tracing of every treated application, thus reducing the number of complaints from alumni and students of the university. The School of Postgraduate Studies, under the leadership of Professor Samaila Mande, was part of the team that ended the incessant era of missing results. These resulted in the groundbreaking number of graduates at the 2019 and 2020 convocations.
Missing results is one of the major problems in the university before I even got to the university. When I came, I had a discussion with all the people who are in charge of everything. And then I discovered that the entire information management system of the university is handled at that time by a company. This company was entrusted with administering the results, processing the results, and posting of the results. And it is done as a contract. So I canceled all that. I said, let's do it all. Let's create our own data management system. And eventually we created the Directorate of Management Information System that was responsible for that. And the people who developed the MIS have been absolutely wonderful, really, really creative. It took them about 2 years to perfect the system, but they were able to do it.
So right now, it's difficult to say that we have a single case of missing result. Then that was dealt with to the satisfaction of the Vice Chancellor who gave the directive.
The School of Postgraduate Studies was also at the forefront of the external moderation examination of students' projects and enforcing PhD degree requirements for all academics of the university.
Before now, we're not having defense of our academic master's program. So, but when he came, we now have to come up with the structure. So we have to do that in my unit, in my office, because with that appointment as the coordinator for such role, I needed to come up with a structure, a pattern whereby that will now be. So we've now been doing project defense and moderation. And this is something that cut across the whole country. I must tell you clearly, we have past vice chancellors that have taken part in our project moderation, past DVCs that have taken part, deans of faculties. So because what we have is to ensure that because of the way we do our things, the whole thing will go to the extent that, yes, national acceptability will be there.
From 2016 till date, Professor Abdalla's led administration made it possible for the university to create a website for facilitators and facilitation matters. Today, the university has about 5,000 facilitators drawn from various academic fields who are promptly paid for their services.
We now have a link where you can now get the facilitators in the whole country, wherever they are. So we have that. So when you now click the link of the facilitators, they are there. And so according to programs and according to department and according to respective centers in this country. So the idea of somebody coming up with spurious claims is no longer tenable.
It is to the credit of Professor Abdalla Adamu that the university set up the Noun Business School and secured the approval of the NUC for takeoff. The Noun Business School promises to provide high-quality executive postgraduate programs in the management and social sciences.
We offer business school education for them in their comfort zones at their own location. And the purpose is therefore to stimulate growth in the country, to make the country more economically viable, more economically stable, more economically independent. And that is a response to what the federal government wanted us to do about the economic growth, recovery strategy. So we have keyed into that particular program, and we came up with a business school as a model, as a way in which we can create a system whereby we contribute to the development of the economy.
In a similar development, the Vice Chancellor actively supported the relocation of the Secretariat of the Committee of Provosts and Deans of Postgraduate Colleges and Schools in Nigerian universities from the University of Lagos to the National Open University.
One day, when the deans of PG schools were meeting, and I sent our own PG school dean, Professor Samaila Mande, to represent me. And when he got there, he told the meeting with my full backing that we're ready to host the next meeting. I think it was 30th anniversary, the next meeting of the Deans of Future School here in Noun. And they came. And when they came, they were shocked at the level of development of the university. They were shocked at how far we have gone. A lot of people hear about Noun, but they don't really know what the university is until they actually see it. So they came and they saw it and they became highly impressed. And that's when I offered to host the headquarters of the Deans of Future School. They wanted it in Abuja, and they have been asking another university in Abuja to see if they can host them, and that university has not made it possible. So I said, we will do it. And by doing that, it means that no dean of any PG school in Nigerian university system will reject our student. Because after all, the secretariat of the dean of postgraduate schools is right here in National Open University of Nigeria.
Today, the umbilical cord of all the University of Nigeria PG program is in the National Open University of Nigeria. So the secretariat is here, and so we hold our meetings, and then we do things towards improving.
A tree, they say, cannot make a forest. The Vice Chancellor, Professor Abdalla Adamu's forest is full of many beautiful trees, and the Dean, School of Postgraduate Studies, Professor Samaila Mande, is one of them.
I have a competent team in my office. My staff in the School of Postgraduate School here, I want to say that I give God the glory for giving me staff and then me putting them through in such a way that will work cohesively. What we do here, we try as much as we can to work according to the needs and wants of the customers. We take People coming to us as our customers, and the key word is for us to satisfy them. So that's what we try to do.
Put on the light, please. Put on the light. And no doubt, without mincing words, the action of the outgoing Vice Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria has added credibility, acceptability, and standardizing the activities of the National Open University of Nigeria, thereby improving the image of this institution in the Committee of Universities in Nigeria. I think he deserves more than that. A round of applause. Very expressly, with the kind permission of the Council Chair and my Vice Chancellor, sir, may I at this very moment invite the Dean of the School of Postgraduate Schools of the National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Samaila Mande, to please come forward for the official launching of the compendium of activities of the School of Postgraduate Studies and Office of the Coordinator. At this moment, may I ask that you come forward and invite the outgoing Vice Chancellor to do what he's supposed to do, sir.
Thank you, MC. For that, distinguished participants and study centers all over the country, what we have here is a compendium. And you can see clearly, compendium. This compendium is all the activities in the PG school, as well as the various tasks that were assigned to me as at that time, from the beginning to the end. We're talking about issues that has to do with facilitation, issues that has to do with project moderation, and then the PG school matters since I was appointed to date. So this publication is compendium of activities of the School of Postgraduate Studies during the reign of Professor Abdalla Adamu, Vice Chancellor, National Open University, from February 12, 2016 to February 11, 2021. So this is for you, and then it is, as a matter of fact, 287 pages document. We needed to get this done for history, so that at the end of the day, when people want to talk about history performance of the PG school, when he was on the saddle, so you can now look at it one by one and look at all the things that we did. So, Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, please, I will want to present this book to you, sir. Aside from the book, is a plug that we have. And the message here is presented to you by the School of Postgraduate Studies for all that you have done for us. Thank you, sir. Now, like I told you earlier, this is from us, from the PG school. And aside from that, there is another one by the Committee of Deans of PG schools in Nigeria that Professor Abdalla provided the opportunity for us to have the headquarters in National Open University of Nigeria. Of course, we gave you the reasons why we talked about for this award. Like I said earlier, you heard it when I was during the video. The umbilical cord of all the PG schools in Nigeria is right here now. Thank you so much. Then the one that is going to be like a report card. You recall when we're in the primary school, we do have what we call report card in our examination. So we have a report card here for Professor Abdalla Adamu. You can see it clearly. So this report card is all about the activities that we did under his tenure. Number one, stoppage of admission and suspension of academic programs without valid approval. The second one, dynamism of the Board of School of Postgraduate Studies. The third one, regularization of postgraduate admissions. The fourth one, ended the cycle of missing results. The fifth one, the University Senate Committee on Examination Misconduct chaired by the Dean. And then the sixth one, external moderation, so examination of student research project, which he gave us the opportunity to get that in the system. Then the seventh one, automation of postgraduate academic transcript application processing, which is now clear. Students, when they now apply, they now monitor because we decided to use the multinational carrier, and that is DHL. So on that note, students will now be monitoring their transcript using the tracking number. The eighth activity is enforcing the PhD degree as a minimum qualification for all academics wishing to work for the university. Then number 9, mass recruitment of 5,000 facilitator project supervisors. Of course, we now have the website there, www.facilitators.nounacademics.net. Then number 10, procurement of Turnitin anti-plagiarism software. This is, we are now having it officially in the university through his support. Aside from that one remarkable thing about him is about geopolitical inclusiveness and a truly national Wazobia University. Prompt payment of claims, the non-business school establishment, and then hosting of the SPGS Secretariat in the National Open University of Nigeria. There are several other achievements that are worth mentioning, but for the time and space, we decided to now have it so that this will not be a report card, and we want to thank you for this opportunity you're giving it to us, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Mande. Thank you very much, my Vice Chancellor, for having achieved that unprecedented height. I'm sure when Professor Samaila Mande was reading out your score sheet, you must have been feeling some few inches tall because you are departing this institution with your head up high. Congratulations, Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir. Permit me to break through the protocols of the running order here to invite someone who has been waiting patiently online, someone who has got nose for excellence. And I'm speaking of no other person but the Council Chair of the National Open University of Nigeria himself, distinguished Professor Peter Okebukola, who has been eagerly waiting online to say a word or two on this special valedictory session organized for the outgoing Vice Chancellor. My Council Chair, sir, with your kind permission, may you proceed, sir.
Okay, thank you. The Vice Chancellor, members of Council of the National Open University of Nigeria, the best open university in Africa. It's a huge delight to be part of this event organized by the School of Postgraduate Studies of our university. I'm sure that all the faculties, indeed, all the academic units of the university will be angling to host this kind of event in honor of our Vice Chancellor, Professor Abdalla Adamu. But don't worry, tomorrow is the day for Senate, where all the departments, all the faculties, all the directorates will be represented. So you have an opportunity to tell Professor Abdalla Adamu how wonderful he has been during his 5-year tenure. As Professor Samala Mande mentioned, and Professor Samala Mande knows that is one of my favorites in the university. I had to ask or request all members of council, to be part of this event. And I'd like to thank him. Thank you, Professor Samala Mande, for organizing this. And we're waiting eagerly to listen to your inaugural lecture, which will come up shortly after this. Vice chancellors come and they go. 5 years, you see, when they start, they think 5 years is forever, but 5 years will be tomorrow. So 5 years for Professor Abdalla Adamu is this week. And he needs to thank God that he has been able, he came, he saw, and he conquered. He has been able to do several wonderful things for our university, NOUN, or if you like, now. And you will listen to all he did as Vice Chancellor, all he did for the School of Postgraduate Studies. That of council is coming, but of course, that of council is just for this year. And my prayer is that Professor Abdalla Adamu, God has shown you this much favor, will continue to show you favor in the decades to come. You are not a perfect human being. I am not a perfect human being. All of us seated here are not perfect. But God has a way of showing some people favor. You will see your report card. Your report card has all elements that are positive. Surely because you are not perfect, you will have report card in the minds of some others that are negative. But the important thing is the net. So when you add up the negatives, add up the positives, and if you have a net positive, you are a winner. Professor Abdalla Adamu, you are a success. And we leave you in the hands of God, as I said, for continued favor. I'd like to thank members of council who have been able to make it here. Actually, almost all members of council are here. And it's a sign that we love our Vice Chancellor and we love our colleague in council, Professor Samala Mande, very well. We look forward to the council session to celebrate you, Professor Abdalla Adamu, on Wednesday. Thank you again for giving me this opportunity to intervene, and I wish you a very wonderful rest of the program, and of course, the inaugural lecture that will come up shortly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my council chair, and thank you very much for donating those kind words to the outgoing Vice Chancellor, Professor Abdalla Adamu. Moments ago, while reading out the scorecard of the outgoing Vice Chancellor, Professor Samala Mande did mention that the Vice Chancellor, Professor Abdalla Adamu, did procure for the university usage a software that is capable of promoting academic integrity. How does this software works? The software called Turn It In will be explained to us by the Director, Learning Content Management System, Dr. Adewale Adeshina. Sir.
Thank you very much. Very good morning to everyone. We are the Directorate of Learning Content Management Systems, happy to be associated with the successes of the School of Postgraduate Studies as well as our outgoing VC. And we are grateful for the opportunities given to us to support in different capacities. We'd just like to mention one of, as has been said, one of the successes, which is acquisition of Turn It In, which is a plagiarism software that can help now take the level of academic delivery to a higher one. Just a quick information about what is actually this plagiarism problem. It's been a problem that is worldwide, and credible institutions work hard to curb this malice. For instance, there was this survey done in 2002 by Donald Maccabee that revealed that actually 36% of students usually admit that they copy sentences from the internet and other sources without duly acknowledging the source. That means they pass other people's work as theirs. And even graduate students, those are people in the PG level, 24% reported doing the same. And we know research in Nigeria shows that this percentage is probably much, much higher, perhaps double. I heard 90%. So you can see it's a big problem that pervades the educational space in Nigeria. And the problem is stealing and passing off somebody's idea as if it's the student or our idea, even the scholar's idea, without proper acknowledgement. We'll see all that definition in the Webster Online Dictionary. Now, what are the consequences of this plagiarism problem? One, it does great harm to educational institutions because they lose credibility. When somebody's work is being passed as another person's work, that diminishes the credibility level to a very large extent. Now, what about students that are passed and they graduate without really bringing forth their own content, but using other people's work? So we have half-baked graduates, and they are a great danger to the society. Imagine people, professionals, engineers, doctors, and all, passing out of universities and not doing the work themselves. And then they are given the gun in the battle, as it were. How will they perform? So they are a great danger. And this is why this problem should not be tackled with kids' glove. Now, it stifles creativity and defrauds the academic system, no doubt. Of course, it infringes on authors' right. And then there are financial and legal consequences as we go on. So I can go on naming this problem. So it's what pervades lots of institutions and the educational space. And National Open University, the largest university in Nigeria, is not treating this lightly. So under the leadership of our Vice Chancellor, now has been talking about it for a long time, but they took debate into action in this particular instance by investing on the Turnitin software. So it's going to provide lecturers the tool to identify and correct possible occurrences of plagiarism in students' work and to help generally improve academic writing across the university. So the noun management through the Office of the Coordinator has acquired 1,000 Turnitin licenses. Please, let's put our hands together for that. Now, 1,000 is a small number compared to our whole staff and student strength, but I tell you, it's a big place to start and even grow to a much higher level. So, and the Directorate of Learning Content Management System has been tasked with the implementation framework to work it out in a way that we can maximize these licenses, whereby students and staff will benefit from this tool. So just a brief description of how Turnitin works is just matching. When a student submits a work, it matches it in the Turnitin database, which consists of internet documents, internet data, repository of previously submitted papers, subscription journals, and many, many other resources online. So at the end of the day, an originality report is produced to show how original this work is. And if other sources have been used, it tries to identify these sources. Now, Turnitin is just one of the many packages, but in many big institutions across the world, it certainly is one that is highly used, and that is why the management has invested on this software. Now, let's look at the action steps that is ongoing regarding this. By now, many academic, if not all academic staff, will have received at some point an email telling you, an Turnitin instructor account has been created for you. So the goal is every academic staff will have a Turnitin account through which they can run their papers, their documents, students' projects, and lots of other stuff, and check all these things. Now, all study centers too will have accounts. And indeed, accounts, as we speak, have been created for all of them, meaning that people at the centers, students, facilitators can utilize this facility to check as students submit works, projects, project seminars, and different types of submissions. So our facilitators too and project supervisors will have access to this, howbeit now through the study center. So they go through this channel of the study center and get this done. And another thing that will help the system greatly is that when projects are going to be moderated or submitted on the online project management system, they have to accompany it with a plagiarism report. Okay, so before it's even graded or people come to call you to defend, student to defend the work, that work will have the report included. Otherwise, that report will not go down. And I tell you, since we started it, even students are a little bit now much more serious, you know, than they used to be. They can't just copy and think that they'll go around with it. And this is bringing about, again, a digital transformation within the National Open University of Nigeria. I know people have asked, how do we do it? We don't know how to use it and all that. We're happy to say that training workshops have been planned, and in due course, we will be introduced to how to effectively make use of what we have. So I close by saying that this is bringing about enhanced quality in our educational delivery as the largest institution in the country. And we are very sure that as we keep on in this space, definitely there will be great transformation for the National Open University of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adewale Adeshina, for taking us through that brief excursion into what that software Turnitin is all about. May I at this very moment invite the Vice Chancellor, with the kind permission of my council chair online, for the official launching of this software called Turnitin. And to do that with him, may I invite also the incoming Vice Chancellor and the Dean, School of Postgraduate Studies, to assist in that regard. Sir.
Okay, how do we launch? I mean, what do we say? Do we just... let's do this. Anyway, why the actual software? Do we just press a button and say we have activated it? I will just say it. It's offline, it's text-based. Good morning, everyone. It gives me great pleasure, and I'm very happy that the incoming Vice Chancellor is by my right, to officially launch the Turnitin software for use of students as well as staff of the National Open University of Nigeria. This software is part of the cyber security, cyber strategies that are taken in order to ensure that the quality of the students and the quality of the work that we as academicians produce is high enough and has met international standards and best practices. The internet has made it very easy for you just simply cut and paste. And when you cut and paste, you don't acknowledge somebody else's ideas, then you are denying them not only acknowledgement, but also you are denying them the right to their own efforts. Now, you don't make any effort. It's just like stealing somebody else's phone. You don't make the effort to buy the phone. Somebody made the effort to buy the phone and you are stealing it away from them. I'm very, very proud of this software because it forces you to think. So it's like some kind of moral guardian over you. You can't just simply start cutting and pasting. But at the same time, we need to be aware of the fact that Turnitin will indicate where you copied the software and the material. It will indicate so. But ironically enough, if you actually acknowledge that you copied it from that place, you have escaped. So what it does, it doesn't say you're a liar. It just simply says you copied this from somewhere. But if at the end of your copying, you write someone else's name and said, I got this from this person, then you have escaped. That is the slight flaw with Turnitin. And it also raises the philosophical issues of who is the author, who owns an idea, because we're dealing with intertextuality. That text is a reflection of another text, that every text reproduces another text. So who is the author? Roland Barthes said that the author is dead. So who is the author of a particular material? And I love the Department of Philosophy in the university to hold a seminar on literary textual philosophy and Turnitin. But for our purposes, for the purposes of quality assurance, for the purposes of making sure that we're doing the right thing and we're not violating any international licenses, it gives me great pleasure, in the name of God, the beneficent, the merciful, to launch for the National Open University of Nigeria, all the 590,000 students and all the 420 academic staff, this wonderful cyber surveillance software, Turnitin. So God help us, amen. I'm holding it together with the incoming Vice Chancellor. Come on, one day. So that people will know that although I'm leaving, I'm handing over the baton to Professor Peters, and the Professor Peters will continue to inspire the efforts of ensuring that Turnitin is entrenched in the university. Thank you very much, sir.
You may be seated, please. Thank you very much, my Vice Chancellor. Don't be too comfortable on that seat of yours, because I will be inviting you back again for your remark. But before I do that, sir, let me very expressly recognize the presence of our virtual guests who have been joining us, or who have joined us online since. Very quickly, let me recognize Mrs. Lydia Ajayi. Also online is Professor Joseph Omada, Professor Shelley Yulfodi, Professor Ibrahim Salau, Professor Sam Sma is also online, Professor Juliet Inegbedion is also online, Professor Ikem Inde is also online, Professor Jotam Alaide is also online, and Mr. Emmanuel is saying they are all online. Well, a lot has been said about you, sir, the Vice Chancellor, going by that report card read by Professor Smaila Mande. May I, at this very moment, invite you back to the rostrum to say a word or two on how you feel on this occasion, sir.
I'm not a person normally lost for words. But today I am lost for words. I mean, when this idea of a valedictory thing came up, I thought it's just going to be a low-key card that has been purchased from Hallmark or somewhere, and just simply thank you for being here. Go with God, but go, kind of thing. But since 11th January, there have been a series of activities that have really touched my heart. And I thought when I came into the university and started all these reforms, I was some kind of badass. And people just simply were not very, very happy with that. But the fact that we have achieved so much because of God, because it was God that was guiding us all along, indicate that the university has moved from down to verve. We thank God for the guidance that he has given us. Let me just go briefly to Professor Mande. When I was appointed the Vice Chancellor of National Open University of Nigeria, I only knew three people. One was a colleague in Bayero University. One was a student, a doctoral student in Bayero University. And the other one, who is right here with us, was an undergraduate student of mine in Bayero University, Malam Isa Shehu. You may not know it, but he's a biologist. Actually, he studied BSc Education Biology. Right now, he's about to complete his PhD at Nasarawa State University. Not in biology, but in, I think, educational administration. So when I came into the university, I was virtually new, like a fresh driven snow. I don't know anybody. I had no contact with anyone. So I used my own basic instinct to determine the person I will work with. And I and Monday clicked. Not because we are virtually the same height, but because of his kinetic energy. Because as a new person, especially as an outsider, Professor Peters won't have that problem because he's an insider. So he knows the system, people know him. As an outsider, everybody is cautious. You know, people will be circling you, not knowing how to handle you, not knowing what makes you tick. They know what makes him tick, but nobody knows what made me tick, because nobody knows whether I'm temperamental, whether I'm this, whether I'm that. So they're just observing. Oh, they did all the search they could on the internet. And they discovered tons and tons and tons of materials, fixtures, and so they're not worried about that. But they want to know about temperament. Am I a badass? Am I a good person? Am I angry? Do I do things that normal people do? So as they were assessing me, I was also assessing them. And like I said, with Monday, it clicked. I said, this is the guy I can work with. Not just like I said, because he's short, but because he had some kind of kinetic energy. There was something effervescence about him, some sort of energy that just radiates out, that indicates genuineness and desire to improve the system. So I said, okay, let me take a chance. Let me start with this guy. And ladies and gentlemen, no regrets. If I have to come back in another life and become a vice chancellor of National Open University of Nigeria, I'll do exactly the same thing that I did. While we are talking about valedictory speeches and so on, I also did my own valedictory review from February to now. And I did my own valedictory. What could I have changed? What could I have done better? And I realized that there isn't any. Every single person we appointed to do things have delivered massively, successfully, including Professor Mandi. I doubt if there is one person who has as much responsibility as he did. And I doubt if there is a person who has done so much for the university in such a short, compressed time as he did, in terms of quality assurance and improving the quality of our products. So this is not a valedictory event for me as such. It is a valedictory event for Professor Mandi, because we got to where we are because of dedication and commitment. And I'm very, very happy because I have forgotten all of these things that they were reeling out. Really, I have forgotten. And he's the kind of person you log him on and then you switch him on and then leave him on. And he just simply keeps going and going and going. It is only when he has finished that he says, oh, I have finished. Say, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I was doing that, because he was reeling out things that I have completely forgotten. But he has logged them into his own, login on instructions or whatever they are. And he kept following them one by one until we have achieved such greatness. Let me just explain finally how we happen to have the center, the postgraduate studies secretariat in Noun. I asked him to represent the vice chancellor at a meeting, and he went. And when they were thinking of doing their 35th anniversary, and everybody was hedging around about hosting, about things, because it costs money. You have to host the dinner, you have to do this, you have to do that. And all the other deans were scared because they have not received any instruction from their vice chancellors about whether they can do it or not. Monday just said, my vice chancellor said, we can do it. I didn't even know about that. And they are all clapping. Then the first thing he did was he phoned me, sir, I committed ourselves. I said, you are right, go ahead. Because he has a credo. He said, if we are traveling and I happen to be ahead and I see a pothole, I'm not going to come back and say there is a pothole. I will fill the pothole and then come back and tell you there is a pothole, but I filled it. This shows dedication and uncommon service and uncommon commitment to the university. Sir, I'm very grateful that I have known you. So when they came, And we told them that we'll do this. They were cynical because it was like Professor Peters observed, it was a public relations strategy. They were denying our students admission to do their masters and PhDs because they are from Noun. Now the administrative headquarters of the organization is in Noun. Will you now deny our students? And that is it. Now they have accepted it because even before they officially took over the center, the headquarters, one of our students reported that he has been denied PhD admission. So Monday called him and said, look, I'm calling from the secretariat. So student has applied for admission and he has been denied. And they did, no, please send his name, send his name. The boy has almost finished his PhD now. So I would like to thank you very much for refreshing my memory about all the things that you have done. To be honestly frank with you, I've forgotten. And this big, outline of things that have been done is a beautiful reminder of the activities that we have done. Like I said, if I have to come back again to become a vice chancellor of National Open University of Nigeria, which I'm not hoping, Monday will still be the person that will be doing all these things. And finally, why is he so successful in what he does? Of course, there's commitment, there is a lot of kinetic energy, but the staff behind him are responsible for his success also. And if you notice carefully, the postgraduate school has the largest number of females in its staff. And that indicates their efficiency. Because I discovered from these 5 years that now the women are stronger than the men. They are more committed, they have more flair, they have more design, they have more than the men. And many of them initially don't want to come to Abuja. Now they're in Abuja. If I ask them to go back to Lagos, the third mainland bridge has been closed for repairs. It will take you 5 hours to come down to Muson and so on. Nobody wants to go back to Lagos. So I would like to thank you very much for giving Professor Monday support. Please, let's put our hands together for them again. It has been very wonderful. Thank you very much for all these laudable things you have done. Thank you very much. I have seen a copy of this, but the electronic copy. I didn't actually see the book until today. And I'm impressed by the beauty, by the structure of the book. Also proud of the fact that this book was produced in our printing press right now. So we are capable of doing things on our own. That has justified whatever investment we made in the printing press. So what we are seeing here is quality assurance. Quality assurance for our students, quality assurance for our lecturers, and quality assurance for our own courseware development. And once more, thank you very much, Professor Monday, the Dean PG School, the incoming Vice Chancellor, for this wonderful event, and I wish you the very best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my Vice Chancellor, sir. One thing you can't take away from the National Open University of Nigeria is God has been kind to this university by donating to us people who are committed to the project, people who are well focused, and people who have put this university in a solid framework. As Abdalla Adamu takes a bow, the incoming Vice Chancellor is someone who is scoring first in virtually all that he has held at this university. Permit me to very quickly say he is the first professor to be so appointed to the rank of professor here at the NOUN. He was also the first dean of the Faculty of Sciences, the first DVC this university ever had, and that's the DVC ACAD. That time, he was the only DVC. Now, this professor of chemistry is no stranger to administration. He was the executive director of the Nigerian Stored Products Research Institute for about 5 years. And now he's back to donate his wealth of experience as the incoming Vice Chancellor. Let's put our hands together for Professor Femi Peters as he gives us his closing remark.
Am I to give closing remarks or vote of thanks? The Chairman of Council, sir, the distinguished Professor Peter Okebukola, all members of Council who are who have patiently started this process with us. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, of the university, Professor Abdalla Adamu, the principal officers as well who are present either here or via the various media streams the university has put on. The Dean, School of Postgraduate School, who the Vice Chancellor quite rightly say turned the event around rather than to him, but actually to Professor Mande. All members of staff of the National Open University of Nigeria, this is a wonderful day for us again in this university. We want to thank everybody who has participated and giving us his time to be able to witness this epoch-making event, especially the people that brought us here, the School of Postgraduate School led by Professor Mande, and to have chronicled, like the Vice Chancellor said, it's very easy for these to escape your minds because he thinks macro. The Dean was thinking micro, so he was able to get these things down. And I want to thank the staff. I noticed they're all wearing blue. I don't know whether that's the color of the postgraduate school. I was going to request for one as well. And I could see that all of you have shown your dedication and commitment as requested and as required by the university. We want to say thank you for the support that you gave to Professor Mande and indirectly to our able Vice Chancellor who is leaving. The Vice Chancellor said, we thank you for the many things that is just coming back to you. Like I told you the other day, there are so many of this you have to hang somewhere. And it just shows the commitment that you have shown in the affairs of the university. And like you said, spending 5 years in a place, you can never forget what you've done. It's a very big 5 years of your life. And we're quite grateful for the service that you have rendered, not just to the university, but to all those who are yearning for education all over. We thank you very much, sir. To our media as well, who have demonstrated their competence, we also want to say thank you for the wonderful things you've done. Well, you've just started, and there are so many opportunities for us. I mustn't forget the Turnitin that you acquired for us. When I first came across the word Turnitin, because I'm a Yoruba man, I was trying to pronounce it in the Yoruba way until I now learned that it is called Turn It In. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chancellor, for providing those results. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, my incoming VC. Well, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we've practically come to the end of proceedings here for this program, and that is the valedictory session organized for the outgoing Vice Chancellor. Before we eventually close from this session, let me very expressly recognize online Dr. Mukhtar Al-Hassan, and that's the Director of MIS of the National Open University of Nigeria. Professor Joy Ihisi, she's also online. Dr. Ife Unwa is also online, and Dr. Kamal Lawal. Let me very expressly thank all staff and lecturers of the Faculty of Management Sciences, ably led by their Dean. Let me also extend this warm facilitation to the Dean, Faculty of Science, Professor Sho Adamu Abdullahi, all staff of the Director of Media Publicity, ably led by the Director, Malam Ibrahim Sheme, and of course, Dr. Adewale Adeshina, the Director of the Learning Content Management System, who made it possible for our virtual audience to join us on this very session. Don't forget, in a very brief moment from now, and that's at about 10 o'clock or thereafter, we shall be converging here for the 17th inaugural lecture of the National Open University of Nigeria. And that will be championed by the surgical blade of no other but the Dean, School of Postgraduate Studies, Professor Samaila Mande. Until that time, may I request at this moment that we all rise for the NOUN anthem. Thank you very much. May I at this very moment thank the council chair and all council members of the National Open University of Nigeria, ably led by that distinguished Professor of Science Education and Professor of Science and Computer Education, Professor Peter Okebukola, for joining us at this session. All members here present, from the Vice Chancellor, incoming Vice Chancellor, Dean Postgraduate School, other deans, directors, and study center directors with students all over the world joining us. I want to thank you for being part of this history. In about 10 minutes or thereabout from now, we shall be converging at this hall for the 17th inaugural lecture. Thank you for joining us, and bye-bye.